Our first correspondent, Papa.
Over the weekend, I had an opportunity to be explaining some of the things that we go through in courts. On
The law with
the law,
Samson.
with
Samson Ladia
absolutely,
Yeah.
and Latif. It was quite an interesting segment, an interesting conversation that we had.
Yeah.
The time wasn't enough for us, but of course, many who watch had the opportunity to see at least some of the things that we go through in courts. To come and explain on our set here, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But there are moments that you sit through the proceeding. At the end of the day, you're asking yourself, any crack anything? But of course, when you have been around for a very long time, some of the things you get to understand, and so it becomes very easy for you to be able to explain it, to break it down, and all that. So, rather we are going.
I've already said that. You know that song, people. Nobody does it better. Nobody does it better. When it comes to breaking out court issues, no. Nobody does it better.
There are certain things you learn on the job.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it comes with years of experience.
Absolutely.
You've been there for 12 years.
12
years. 12 years.
It feels like yesterday.
Yeah, but it's been a while. 12 years.
Yesterday, when I mentioned I've been around for 22, I was like, oh, so for a decade.
Yeah.
Wow.
12 years.
It's not easy.
And you still look forever young. That's the part. That's the part that people don't see. Anyway, so in fact, yesterday was Martyrs' Day.
Yes.
We had a conversation with Xavier Kuje last week, ahead of the day. What happened at the Martyrs' Day event?
So you notice that a day like this is to remember those three justices, the High Court judges, who were murdered some 42 years ago. Justice Fred Poku Sarkodie, Justice Cecilia Corantin Ado, and Justice Kojo Eje Ejapon. So they met in untimely death, very sadly and tragically, I must say, because the way the whole thing happened, so it has become something that the Ghana Bar Association every year they do remember. On the 30th of June, they organize a memorial service in honor of these murdered High Court judges. And yesterday wasn't later. It started with wreath laying at the forecourt of the Supreme Court. For those who are familiar with the Supreme Court, anytime you get there, you see a bust. Just in front of the Supreme Court, there's a small park that you see Martyrs of the Rule of Law with 3 busts. So the judges in question are those you see their bust in front of the Martyrs of the Rule of Law. So they are there yesterday. There was a wreath laying there. Then after, it concluded with a church service at the Calvary Baptist Church, Shiashin. And Francis, in that particular gathering, virtually everybody you can think of. The president wasn't present yesterday, but I know that previously
he wasn't
present yesterday. The Chief Justice was present, Gertrude Saki Tokonu, the Attorney General Godfred Yeboadami, justices of the Supreme Court were there, justices of the Court of Appeal, justices of the High Court, some lower court judges, circuit district courts. They were all present yesterday for that forum. So yesterday, if there was a place that you want to look for faces of those who matter in the justice delivery system, yesterday it was one of the days that you see them in their numbers. The Judicial Secretary, all of them were present yesterday at that forum. And the service is just to remember at them, point out what happened. Their biographies were read by High Court judges, and you notice that the 3 judges that we are talking about are 2 men and a woman. So in the course of reading the biography, it was read aside 2 gentlemen for the 2, and then there was Justice Marie Louise Simon read for the late female judge who was murdered. And the message was simple. Let's look at what has happened, and then we should reflect on that to do a lot of corrections now. The president of the GPA, Yao Champon Buhafo, yesterday talked about the fact that, look, just ended voter registration exercise, a limited one, it was characterized by a lot of violence. We should not accept violence in the situation we are at this particular point in time. He also took the opportunity to talk about the politicization of the judiciary, where there's been a declaration of NDC judge, NPP judge, CPP judge, and all that. He said there's only one judiciary, and it should be recognized as such. And he also been reiterating calls for closed circuit cameras, CCTV for around some of the court, and some of the court warrant officers also be giving weapons to, as it will help them or protect them in their line of duty. So we can be hearing from the president of the Ghana Bar Association, Yao Champomboa, for yesterday at the remembrance service.
The 2024 general elections are little. The 2024 general elections are little over 5 months away. It is not in doubt that the stakes are even higher. We cannot afford to witness and deal with similar acts of threats, intimidation, violence, vigilantism, and lawlessness, which can affect the peace and stability of Ghana and our general quest to consolidate our democratic rule and accelerate economic development. Yet still, the marking of a day like this should serve as a constant reminder of the need of the state, government, and management of the judicial service to enhance the security and safety of judges at all levels of the judiciary. For example, the recent reported killing of a principal magistrate in Kenya in open court should serve as a useful lesson for us. It so happens that some of our courts in this country, especially at the lower courts, do not have court warrant officers. And even when they do, the said CWOs are not equipped with the requisite weapons for their protection and that of others. Some few years ago, Justice Dampare of the Court of Appeal, as the then president of the Association of Judges and Magistrates of Ghana, made a call for the installation of closed-circuit television cameras at the courts to ensure surveillance of criminals and unscrupulous persons who may want to target judges and other court users. The GPA finds that call still relevant and implores upon government and management of the judicial service to give it a serious consideration. A safe and secure judiciary is essential in ensuring that our judges and magistrates and court staff work and discharge their legal duties and go about the resolution of their cases without fear or favor and in accordance with the rule of law. The GPA assures our judges of our unflinching solidarity and enduring respect. Please continue to remain resolute and fearless in the discharge of your judicial oath of doing justice to all manner of persons, without fear or favor or affection or ill will, and with integrity and professionalism. The GBA also implores upon our judges to endeavor to pursue all acts of impropriety, biases, improper influences, but work in fidelity to the judicial oath and the Constitution and the general laws of Ghana of doing justice to all manner of persons. The GBA also calls on all Ghanaians to strive to be more resolute, fearless, and vocal in defending the rule of law and the independence of the judiciary and dignity of our judges, which is essential in ensuring a stable and effective constitutional order. It will ensure social and political stability in Ghana and necessary for our economic well-being and development through the guarantee of effective accountability of other state institutions and actors of the realm. We must spare the judiciary our divisive partisanship. It is very sad that public commentary relative to cases of immense public interest pending in courts have taken on a political coloration. I'll at this stage reiterate a statement I made in my speech at the 2023 Annual General Conference of the Ghana Bar Association held at the New Examination Center, University of Debunks. There is no training module at the Judicial Training Institute known as MPP Judge, NDC Judge, CPP Judge, for anyone to tag a judge as an MPP Judge, an NDC Judge, or CPP Judge. There is only one judiciary established under Chapter 11. I want to place on record that as a member of the Appointments Committee of the Judicial Council, at no stage of the interview and evaluation process of an appointment to any level of the judiciary is the political affiliation or leanings of an applicant a requirement. Reported accounts and commentaries about the events of 30th June 1982, in terms of antecedents and aftermath, reveal men and actors who were driven by hate, prejudice, intolerance, and violence. We must ensure that our actions never again lead to the martyrdom of any judge. Violence of any sort of shape, or whatever its context, cannot be tolerated or justified. Violence has never been a veritable solution to any disagreement or differences in any civilized democracy. That should be the case in Ghana, because in the end, violence and vigilantism and lawlessness only destroys the nation and its people, and is a killer of dreams and an anathema to progress and development. As Martin Luther King once said, returning violence for violence multiplies violence. May the events of 30th June 1982 never happen again. Let us use this day to remember and reflect on the heinous crimes perpetrated on 30th June 1982. The lives that were brutally cut short, dreams that were abruptly ended for no justifiable cause, and their impact on the families involved. 30th June of every year since 1982 has always given us the opportunity to break with some of our ignominious past. Let us as a people resolve to pursue and sustain a path of peace, love for one another, mutual respect and tolerance for one another, and eschew all acts of violence and lawlessness.
All right. So that's the president of the Ghana Bar Association.
So yesterday, he made it clear that peace is what we want, especially going to the 2024 general elections. If you stop politicizing the judiciary, because we only have one judiciary, there's no NDC, MPP, CPP, PNC judge anywhere. So that is how we should tune our minds and make sure that we do things that do not foment troubles and all that. And it's also urging us to use what has happened to the judges who were murdered as a case study to ensure that we tolerate one another, we show cooperation, and together we'll build a united judiciary, we'll build a united justice delivery system and all that. And then the last call was to the effect that, look, court warrant officers, and when you mention of court warrant officer, Francis, you notice that when you go to the courts, there are some police officers that you see around and all that. They are the court warrant officers. So they are stationed in the court to ensure peace and all that. And so he's making a call for them to be the lower courts. They should have ammunition, they can protect themselves and all that.
Today, two cases are running, the Kokobot case and the Beige Bank case. Yes. All with the defense witnesses appearing, correct?
Absolutely.
What are we to expect briefly?
So with the Kokobot, we have the state defense witness for Seidu Agongo and Agricort Ghana Limited, an officer from the Ghana Standard Authority. You notice that the little bit fertilizer that we are talking about, or has become an issue now, was tested and then went to the Ghana Standard Authority for some clarity or for some testing and all that. So the officer is in court to testify as to what has become or what they discovered when it came to their attention or what they worked on this. So the officer has started the evidence in chief, and she's expected to continue that before Justice Abuaji Tando. Then we go to the bench bank. The bench bank, we have the 15 defense witnesses coming to continue with
today. All right. Thank you, Mutala, for the update this morning for court today. Let's now look to other matters here on the show. There are whisperings that started last Friday relative to the removal of the IGP, George Ekufu Dampare. We can speak now to the Honorable Peter Lanchene Tobu, the Member of Parliament. The Member of Parliament for Wa West. Okay. Hello, Honorable. Good morning. Hello, Honorable. Can you hear me? Good morning.
Francis, good morning. How are you?
I am well, sir. I trust you're well and keeping safe.
I'm doing fine.
First of all, the ad hoc committee that investigated the persons caught on tape discussing moves to remove the IGP. What's the summary conclusion of that report?
Thank you very much. Let me say Good morning to our cherished listeners. And good morning to everybody who has so much of interest in this report. My brother, parliamentary procedure cannot be breached. The Speaker of Parliament constituted a committee to investigate the IGP's leak tape, a tape that had gone viral. Everybody listened to it. After the investigation, the committee's report will be submitted to plenary, and there will be a debate on the report when the motion is moved. Parliament will take a decision on the report and communicate, and it is on that communique that I can be speaking if it is time. But as we speak, I traveled to my constituency and I was told that Parliament intended to take the motion on the IGP's leak tape. So copies of the report, according to instructions, were distributed to members. So whatever is in the media space, if that is actually the report, because I'm just on the way to the office today to pick my copy, if that is actually the final report, it is not for the public. That report is supposed to be for the plenary. And what will come out from the plenary will be actually the report from Parliament. The committee's report is not for public consumption. The committee's report is supposed to be submitted to plenary for discussions, and after that, Parliament as a whole will take a decision on what we think is the right thing to do and communicate to the President. After that, we can speak to it. So for the committee's report, I think that it would be very unfair for me to double into it when it has not become an official document.
Be it as it may, has there been any adverse findings against the IGP? And I ask this question because the stories making the rounds were linking the report to a decision to remove the IGP. Is there any correlation here?
Thank you. People probably do not understand these things. The position of Inspector General of Police is the most insecure position in government appointment. Why? Because the day you are appointed, the next morning you are on your way out on daily basis until one day the president decides to say, yeah, today is the day, and you are out. So if somebody says that, oh, they are removing the IGP because of a report, there is nowhere in the Constitution, and it has never been the practice, that even if the president decides to remove an Inspector General of Police, he's bound to assign reasons. Nobody has ever done that. What is me? I think that I have heard the stories, and I've also read from the police that we should disregard such very evil rumors, because there are some national security implications of rumors of this nature. And I'm expecting the Minister of Interior to issue a statement this morning, immediately. If the President intends to remove the IGP, let it be so. If that is not true, the Minister of Interior should immediately issue a statement consolidating the statement issued by the police, and let all of us know that when we talk about matters of security in this country, it is not a joke. Let's not be playing with these things, because it has dire implications even on the psyche of the IG for him to be able to sit and work.
You mentioned that rumors like this have consequences for national security. What are these consequences, you say?
You know, as we speak now, everybody knows that Excellency President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo will be out of office on the 7th of January 2025. And that is how come sometimes we say it's a lame duck president. I remember some time past, during the time of President Rawlings, when Professor Mill became the vice president, the presidential candidate, he was then the vice president. When he became the presidential candidate, President Rawlings one day said that life is interesting. Almost everybody who used to see him as president and used to come to him, almost all of them are drifting towards the future. They are drifting towards the presidential candidate. They were drifting towards Professor Mill. And what it means is that, listen, power is going off your hand. So people are beginning to look at where it is shifting to, and their interest is shifting there. So if you go to tell people, oh, power is shifting off the hands of Dr. George Akuffo Dampare, people are beginning to look at who is next, who is a possible next IGP. And their attention will be drifting towards, there's a natural process. And do you know the implication of that? Gradually, you are saying that a lot of people who probably think that they become IGPs will assume the position of IGP in their brains. walking around hoping to confirm by the president. And these are all matters that are not good for security. We don't do that anywhere.
But considering all that we have been privy to relative to this committee and its work, should the president even be contemplating changing the IGP?
Whatever it is the prerogative of the president. The president didn't appoint Dr. George Akuffo Dampare based on a report. He appointed Dr. George Akuffo Dampare based on the fact that he believes that he can manage the police to ensure that he achieves his objective as the president of the Republic of Ghana. And nobody is in his mind to see whether he's satisfied with the performance of the IGP or not. So if he decides to appoint a new IGP, that is his prerogative. If he decides to say, Dr. George Akuffo Dampare, please continue with your good work, that is his prerogative. I don't think that a report is the one that will direct the president to do what he's supposed to do or what he's not supposed to do. The truth is that there are several reports in this country that require the president to act, and he has never done it. There are several reports that require the president not to particularly act on a particular matter, but he acted. So let's not link this report to the rumor. If the rumor, as they say, is baseless, I think that our report is an authentic report, and we'll speak to it in total after Tuesday.
What do you make of the suggestions that moves to remove the IGP will be ostensibly to strengthen the agenda towards breaking the eight?
Well, I think that in the audio that the parliamentary committee investigated, it was one of the issues that made the honorable member for Olembele, Honorable Kofi Bua, our deputy minority leader, to raise the issue on the floor of parliament and demanded that something better be done. That they needed an IGP who is pliant to government. In other words, an IGP who is more MPP in his brain than a professional police officer, who is capable of using mafia to ensure that they break the eight. So if somebody says, oh, finally we've gotten one who is pliant to government, more MPP in his blood and brain, is not a police officer, so we can use a police uniform to cover him so that he will do what we want him to do for us. If they have finally found one and they want to do that, I'm sure that Ghanaians will appreciate what they want to do, and Ghanaians will also take a decision on what they can capable also do. Because, you know, the truth of the matter is that the sovereign power of the state cannot be challenged by one person. Sovereignty resides with the people. And the will of the people cannot be even if it's a binary operation, the will of the people cannot be divided into pieces and destroyed. The will of the people will continue to be the will of the people. And as long as the Constitution backs the people, when a decision is taken on the 7th of December 2024, whatever the Ghanaian people decide and whoever they decide to vote for, that will be it. Nobody can change that. If you attempt to change that, you are basically telling the Ghanaian people, I want to bring war into Ghana, and I don't care if the country is destroyed or not. And maybe you will destroy yourself and not the country. Because this democracy that is about 32 years old is still young, so nascent. And we are doing everything that we can as a people to stay on track, because it's the most resilient democracy, it's the most resilient republic since independence. And I don't think that anybody at all in your right frame of mind will be thinking of violence, will be thinking of overthrowing this fourth republic, will be thinking of doing something that will be so dangerous to our national stability. We have opted for democracy, and that is all we know what to do. And that's why even in the recent state of mind of the Ghanaian people, when the youth are very angry and disappointed and frustrated, when they wake up in the morning, all they look at is the 7th of December 2024 and tell themselves that there is hope for the future. Let's be calm. And that is why Ghana remains quiet. If not, probably it would have been worse than Kenya.
You've already mentioned that to quell all those rumors, the Interior Minister should release a statement, or the President should release a statement. If that doesn't happen,
it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's the right thing to do. If the Interior Minister thinks that these things will not give the peace of mind of anybody within the security sector to operate, he will issue a statement. But if the Interior Minister thinks that, oh, these are just frivolous statements, frivolous rumors and allegations here and there, let's forget about it. But even that, it is for him to say it. These are frivolous. These are useless rumors. Let's forget about it. Let's concentrate. You know, it ever happened. I remember a strong statement. He said, listen, the IGP is in his office and he's working. We are thinking about how to provide internal security for this country, for all of us to go about our daily work without fear or favor. So all those things people are talking about, let's forget about them. So it is important for the Minister of Interior to make a statement because this is happening under his ministry. And I think that if I was in his position, I would have spoken even since yesterday.
The last time an Interior Minister spoke about the IGP, that was the former Interior Minister Ambrose Derry. Since then, there's a new man in charge now, the former Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Korte. Do you think that these swell of comments or push towards the IGP's removal is because there's a new man at the job?
Hello, Francis?
Honorable, can you hear me? Honorable, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Honorable? Can you hear me, sir? I think I've lost him. Emmanuel, let's try and re-establish contact with the Honorable Peter Lanchene-Tobu on this matter of the suggestions or swellings or rumors about the possible ousting of the IGP. Of course, the police has released a statement indicating that those rumors should be dispelled, that they should be ignored outright because it has no bearing. However, we are aware that the committee that probed the leak tape matter has this report ready. It will be submitted before the plenary, after which a decision will be taken on what happens to the officers involved, the 4 officers who were caught on tape, demanding that the IGP, George Dampare, Dr. George Dampare, be removed from office. We'll try and quickly conclude our conversation with Mr. Peter Lanchene-Tobu, the Member of Parliament for Wa West, and then we'll bring you other parts. In fact, there have been other suggestions in the correspondence between these officers on tape who are also making suggestions as to who should be the next IGP. But let's wrap up with Mr. Peter Lanchene-Tobu. I was asking about the swell or the moves towards a new man to lead the police service, also because there's a new man at the Interior Ministry. Does that add up to you? Can you understand why there's this groundswell of move towards a change of the IGP?
Thank you very much. The 2 positions are mutually exclusive in terms of appointments. Mutually exclusive because His Excellency the President appoints the Inspector General of Police. His Excellency the President appoints the Interior Minister. And both of them are supposed to collaborate, coordinate, and work to ensure peace and security of this country. But the Interior Minister doesn't determine who the President appoints as IGP. The President is supposed to, in consultation with the Council of State, it's a constitutional provision, when he wants to appoint an IGP, he is not supposed to consult the Minister of Interior. So the Minister of Interior has no role to play when we come to appointment of IGP. And I think that he came to meet an IGP, and all he can do is to work with him. The IGP was there when the new minister came, and I think all the IGP can do is to work with the minister. The 2 of them need to work together. But for appointment, it remains the prerogative of the President. And the 2 cannot be linked to determine who goes or who comes.
All right. There are already suggestions about possible replacements and names being given for the next IGP. Never mind the police service saying that that's not on the table, all rumors should be dispelled. The current Yoko boss has been suggested as the next IGP. What do you make of these suggestions?
You know, somebody called me yesterday and I was saying that, I heard that the IGP is going, a new one is coming. You've been in the system for long. Who do you think should come? And I said, the person who is saying that, I don't know, but whoever the President decides that should come will come. And if the President decides that the current one continues to stay, will stay. It is the prerogative of the President. And he said, but the woman who said, I know where the girls are, I'm told that is the one coming. Who asked her about the girls too? I said, that one I don't know. I don't know. Please don't push me into that arena. I'm not working in the office of the President. I don't work there. And I don't know what goes in there. What I know is that we have an IGP who is working. If the Ghanaian people are satisfied, so be it. If the President is satisfied, so be it. If they are not, so be it. But as for the appointment, I am sure that we have a lot of ministers in the system that somebody will say, Nobody even knows why they are even still ministers. But they are there. Nobody can take them out because it's the president who brought them. And it's the president who will decide one day to take them away or replace them. So this IGP thing, I think it's just been in history. It's been in history that the moment you are appointed IGP, the next morning, lobbying to kick you out starts. And sometimes it increases in tempo to the point that people will think that, you are being removed the next 2 hours. And for 6 months, you are still there. So for me, from the system, I think these are just normal stuff. Nothing much to worry about. If you hear the president speak, he will only speak about what he intends to do and will say what he is doing. The president will not be suggesting that or probably indicating that he wants to do something. No. He appoints and disappoints with that explanation. And if he wants to do that, he will do that. But until then, let's forget about all this and ensure that we continue to support the police to do the work.
Before I let you go, Honorable, the recent disturbances in Wa and the loss of lives, has the situation calmed considerably, or there are still reasons for us to worry?
Well, I don't know if you are talking about the recent communal violence in the Wa West constituency.
Yes,
all right.
Please.
Yes, that is my constituency. And I think that I was very lucky that when the incident sparked up, I was right in the constituency. And I was given a call 15 minutes after the incident began. 2 people were already dead. And then 2 people got seriously injured. So I quickly got in touch with the police and other security agencies, created a solid network, and they responded speedily. And I think that I've been proud of the response time of the Ghana Police Service on that particular issue. Within 2 hours, calm had returned, and we had lost 2 people. The next morning, we lost the 3rd person. And since then, a lot has gone in there, and we have seemingly some level of peace, and we are working towards releasing the bodies for burial, and we will continue to build consensus and see some peace-building measures to ensure that the 2 communities will return to normal. And I've always said this. A lot of allegations were raised from the beginning that one tribe had attacked another tribe. So I quickly dropped a press statement telling the whole world, no, there are 2 communities. It is an inter-community conflict. So the problem is limited to those 2 communities. The problem cannot be allowed to extend to include tribesmen of those communities. It is not a tribal conflict. It is basically conflict in relation to land and chieftaincy, which is specifically about those 2 communities. So we restricted the definition of the conflict to the 2 communities, and that's how can we be able to contain it. And thank God, I think there's a lot that has been done. A lot is being done. The RESEC chairperson, the regional minister, has gotten involved. A lot of stakeholders have gotten involved. Behind the scene, a lot is being done, and that is why you've seen that seemingly apparent stability that we are all witnessing. And I'm hopeful that when the bodies are released and after burial, we will continue to put in peacekeeping measures, and we hope that those 2 communities will return to the status quo of a very normal relationship.
All right, Honorable. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and for sharing your thoughts with us.
Always my pleasure. Have a nice day.
You too, sir. That's the Honorable Member of Parliament for Wa West and former police chief, Peter Lanchene Tobu, joining us this morning. Ibrahim, there are other elements too that we're learning of, still within the conversations of the IGP and moves to have other persons join the fray. What's the background and the context to this?
Well, I'm sure listeners will bear us out that we brought them these tapes first when these 3 police officers in the company of the former regional chairman, Northern Regional Chairman of the NPP, Chief Bugri Abu, met and then discussed a number of issues, including the removal of George Akufu Dampare, doctor, as IGP, of course, and I'm sure we'll take a break and then we'll return.
So wrap up before I go for the break and come back. Yeah.
So we did that. We brought listeners and those tips, And I dare say that it was on the back of those tapes that we brought out that the deputy minority leader, Emmanuel Kofi-Boa, imported the matter to the floor of Parliament and demanded action from the Speaker, who obliged and set up a 7-member committee. In fact, when the committee's work was done, again, we brought you a report from the committee. And the chairman for the committee, Samuel Atasia, ended up saying that that report did not emanate from his committee. And that was because they were in the process of putting together their own report. We indicated that there was a technical officer who was a member of the committee. That report, as we brought listeners, had been put together by that particular technical committee member. You heard James Agaga say that the content of the report was reflective of what transpired during the committee's sittings, be it in camera or behind or before the camera. Then finally, the report was ready. It was presented 2 weeks ago. It was laid about 2 weeks ago. And then, subsequently, the report was advertised to be taken.
Yes.
Last week, it was not taken. From Tuesday all the way to Friday, it was not taken. And then on Friday, we got hold of the report. In essence, confirming the earlier report that we brought you, which captured indictment of COP Alex Mensah in the first report and the second report, same, which said that the voices we heard were all from these individuals. Same. The first report talked about citing 2 individuals for contempt of parliament because they had lied under oath. And I'm talking about Superintendent JB and then Superintendent Asari. You find that same expression in this new report. Again, we talked about allegations of extrajudicial killings. If you remember, in the audio we brought you, you hear one police officer talk about the fact that the recent killings that took place around Botiano, English Amanfrum, were what you call extrajudicial killings, and that the police are set out to kill those individuals in the name of landguardism. This report talks about the fact that when Superintendent Asari was asked to corroborate these allegations or provide evidence, he couldn't. So those claims were dismissed. Again, this report came to the firm conclusion that the reason why the individuals wanted the IGP removed was so it could pave way for the MPP to win the upcoming elections. This report, once again, establishes that. The only difference is that the report that we brought to earlier had asked the police administration to sanction these individuals. Now, this recommendation has been elevated. And then the recommendation is that the report be sent to the president for president to sanction these individuals. Now, with that said, we brought you about 3 separate clips, right? Okay, as we always do, we can tell you that there are more. So the audio clips that we brought you, that occasioned the setting up of the ad hoc committee, we are telling you now that there are more clips that we are about to play for you to hear. And you can situate them in the context of where we are today, about the whisperings and then the publications about other removal of the IGP or otherwise. All related.
All right. Let's go for a break. When we return, we'll share those details with you. Stay with us.